Hey, hi. So let's start. I believe people will join in. So thank you for joining in, taking your time and rather giving me time in terms of to share my own experience in terms of understanding technology as well as understanding the business aspect of it. Right? So that is what this book is about. But before I do that, right, and I like to obviously welcome you all. I'd like to ask you a question. When you see this particular image, right? When you see this particular image, what what do you see?
So I see the invisible gap that is there between I would rather say the visible gap that is there between understanding the business and the technology, and uh, putting the gap in place would help bringing in the technology in use to grow the business. I'd rather say that.
Yes. So when you look at the image, right? When you look at this, right, on the right hand side you see certain icons, and the left hand side you see certain icons over here, right? So this is basically anybody, any person who's working on the technology front, right? Anybody who's looking at uh, software development for that matter, or somebody who's looking at growing their own business, right? If you look at and on the left hand side, right, you will see you're seeing icons of a mobile, you see an IC, you see Bluetooth. Those are all technology, right? That is all technical stuff. But on the right hand side, you see an image of a calculator, that is numbers. Then there is some graph, and there is a group of people. So that is what technology to business primarily focuses on, right? It is trying to showcase that there is a gap whenever somebody is trying to move from a technical role to a more business kind of a role or a management kind of a role for that matter, right? And it is important for you to understand some of those aspects. And we'll talk about this as we move forward, right? We'll talk about all of these aspects which are important to us. So let me go ahead and ask you this question. Do you know who this person is? If you don't know, I'll tell that to you later. Do you know? Have you seen this face somewhere? No?
No.
No? Okay. Do you know this person?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know this person? Do you know what they have built? What each of them has built?
Facebook and Apple.
All right. Facebook, Apple. But you don't know who the first person is, right? So when I look at the first person, right? When I look at this person's name is, does his name strike anything? Masura Ibuka. He was a lead scientist in Bell Laboratories. Okay. Do you know what this image is? This is bulky. Do you know what this image indicates?
No.
These are those old kind of computers, right? The bulky computers. This is like the size of the computers was pretty big because it has a big capacitor. So Masura Ibuka is the co-founder of a company. You hear a lot of music. Do you hear music?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know, or which is one of the best televisions you heard of? You know, any idea? It's been there for long. You know their logo or other. You heard Sony? Sony. You heard of
Sony,
Sony?
yes. Yes.
Yes. So Masura Ibuka was the lead scientist of Sony. So let's say, and he wanted to build something like this, right? You know what this is? This image is
It's a Walkman or
transistor.
radio.
Yeah, small radio, right? So he wanted to build this, and at that point of time, I don't think it was possible for anybody to think of building this, right? Because the biggest challenge was having such big capacitors, or the system was bulky at that point of time, which is why it is important that he still wanted to build that, right? He had an idea, he wanted to still build that, and he took some permission to license transistors. So let's say as a general person, right, if somebody wants to sell this, yeah, what will you do? You will say Sony will beat Bell Labs in making a transistor radio work, okay? Or Sony will be the world's respected manufacturer of radios, or Sony will create the most advanced radios in the world. But this is not what he did, right? What he said was, he said he wants to build a pocketable radio. Make sense? He did not tell anything about the technology over here. He did not talk anything specific that I'll build a small capacitor or anything. He's just put it in a very simple, plain language that I will build a pocketable radio. Make sense? As compared to if you were somebody else, right? If you are a normal technical person, right, you will think something like this, that I will create the most advanced radios in the world. But it does not resonate with end people. It does not resonate with somebody. In the same way, you know what this is? And who built this? I'm pretty sure you know this.
Steve Jobs.
iPods.
Yes, iPod. Do you know what was his statement? What was his, if you've seen the movie, right, you know what he tells his daughter.
I think 1,000 songs in one device, something.
Yes, I want to put music in your pocket. That's what he said, right? 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's what he said. This image kind of represents that. I want to put music in your pocket. In like Masura Ibuka said, I want to create a pocketable radio. He said, I want to put music in your pocket. He did not come and tell that, okay, I am going to build a small, IC, or obviously this is possible because of the advancement of technology. All of this, whatever you're seeing, right, is possible because of the advancement of technology, because you have, what do you call that? In terms of making those small chips, right? I forget the name. Sorry, I'll come back to that. You know this? What is this?
Facebook.
Facebook, right? Do you know? You've seen that movie of Facebook? You seen that
Yes.
movie? Yeah.
The
When you
social
see that
network.
movie, sorry.
The social network, right?
Yes, the social network. You've seen that movie?
Yeah.
So in that movie, right? How long does it take for Mark Zuckerberg to build that portal? And he built it on his own, right? He built it on his own. He didn't outsource it to anybody. He didn't tell, okay, you build it, I'll go and sell it. He didn't do that, right? What did he do? It took him approximately a week or so to build the entire portal, right? I mean, obviously not with so many features, but he did build that overall solution, right? And what did he sell it as? Did he sell it that I have built this solution as a .NET solution, or have I built this on Java? Did he promote anything around that? What was he promoting?
A platform, social network platform to connect.
Yes, he was promoting. Yes, somebody was speaking.
Yeah, a social network platform for people to connect.
Yes, a social network platform for people to connect. He didn't specifically talk about the technology, right? He didn't mention that, okay, I have built a solution which is, out of the world. He just said this is a platform for networking to connect with people, right? You can share your information and all that kind of stuff. That is what he was selling. He was selling a way of people to connect to each other. He did not talk about technology at all in that. He was talking more from the business perspective, more from the idea perspective. So that is the biggest challenge which I see. And I'll give you my own example, right? And I believe if you're an engineer, you would have seen this. This is my final year BE electronics project, right, in 2002. So the topic was OPAM application simulator. And there's one word which is not mentioned over here in the report. It's there. OPAM application simulator using Java. You know what is an OPAM, by the way? Anybody knows?
Operational amplifier.
Very good. Who was that?
So George.
Very good, George. What does an OPAM do?
So amplifies the signal. So
Yes, it amplifies the signal. Now, as a layman, right, and when I am trying to build this solution, we built a lot of features. We actually built, if you see over here, right? I'm going to try and zoom this. Let's see if it zooms. We built a lot of features over here. We had a second order filter, first pass filter. If you're from a technical perspective, you'll understand that. For a normal person, right, it doesn't make sense. The normal person will not understand what I'm talking about, even if I tell him it's an high pass filter or low pass filter. And look at what I've mentioned over here in terms of the software features. This is actually what, as an engineer, I put out there. As an engineer, I wrote that these are my software features. That I'm using Java. It is object oriented. It is high performance, multi-threaded, dynamic. It has garbage collection. Imagine I am telling this to, I am trying to sell this to a normal person, right? To anybody out there. Will it make sense to that person? Just think you're not an engineer. You're a normal person and I want to sell this to you. Would he understand? Would that person understand anything about object oriented, high performance, multi-threading? Would that person understand anything
So
about it?
if you explain the application, or in a layman terms, if you explain him, if he can understand. Otherwise, it will be difficult.
Right. But I have already created this. This is the presentation which I gave. This is what I actually explained. Now, this is one of the biggest challenges, right? I am trying to put the technology first. I have not talked about why should you buy this, right? What is the need? Why should I even care to sell this to you? When you look at any other uh, software for that matter, like I said, Facebook was not talking about object oriented and all that kind of stuff, right? He was just talking about the business features. What Facebook was trying to sell was you can connect to somebody. He was not telling that when you enter data on this page, this data will go to somewhere else. He did not explain it in a technical fashion, right? He explained it in a much business fashion. So like you said, right, if I explain this in a simple terms without all these technical jargons, people will understand it. So that is one of the biggest gaps you find when you are trying to move from a technical aspect, or even in your technical aspect, right? You will find it difficult, or you might not be able to tie it to why have you built something like that. And we'll talk about some more examples in the future. But does this give you an idea about the challenge which people face when you're talking about technology? It's not like chocolate, right? You just looked at it, bought it, ate it. You can visualize it. Over here in terms of software, you really can't visualize that, right? As easy as a chocolate. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? So in 2008, so I was working on a project in as part of my first organization. So I'm not going to name that. As part of my first organization, we were working on a BI reporting solution specifically for healthcare. So we did a lot of stuff. We used Excelsius, which is a BI reporting solution. We created a we created some dashboards, right? We also did the underlying technical aspects like building the data model, extracting the data from the source system. We did all of that and we built the overall solution. Now we showed it to our delivery director, and uh, what she when she saw the diagram, right? She saw the dashboard. Obviously, it kind of looked like this, but obviously not exactly like what is there in the image. When she saw that, she liked it. She gave us some feedback, and there was one question she asked us: how do I package this? That was the main question that stuck in my mind. How should I really package this solution? Like I mentioned, right, when you look at something, like if you see an image like this in front of you, you go to a shop, you see a CD, you see this, what will you buy? Personally, if you talk about it, what would you buy? Would you buy this or would you buy this? On the right or the left?
Right.
So it will depend upon what you like or what you want at that moment.
Yeah, but imagine you don't know what you like. Just visually looking at it, what are you going to buy?
Chocolates.
Right? So that is the biggest. So that is one thing which is important, right? When she asked me this question, how do you package this, right? How do you package this BI solution, right? I cannot really package a BI solution like putting it in a wrapper, right? I cannot just take a silver foil and wrap it around the CD and sell it to people. It's not that easy as compared to a confectionery item or any other item for that matter, which you can touch and feel, right? So that is one of the biggest challenges which you will face, or anybody will face as a technology person, right? As a technical, from a
Yes.
technical aspect, how should I really package this entire solution? So that got me thinking in terms of what should I be doing, right? And this took me back, this question actually took me back to one of those that I was doing my MBA from NMIMS, by the way. I did my MBA from NMIMS. I did it part time, evening 6:45 to 9:15 for 3 years, from 2006 to 2009. So in 2007, we had a subject called as integrated marketing, which was taught by Dr. Rahul Mirchandani. So he's the CEO and MD of Aries Agro, and he was teaching marketing to a batch of 60 IT students. Okay, that is when I was. This question kind of took me back to that point where he taught us how should all those departments come together and kind of leverage the knowledge that is there together and package something, that because it doesn't work individually. All those departments have to come together and you have to try and kind of sell that particular solution in little terms. So when, and that is what I'm going to explain in terms of, in brief, right? How should you look at packaging some of those aspects? I'll talk about specific examples around that. The other aspect I also wanted to mention is, so I have been associated with a lot of colleges and universities for some time, and I also judge some competitions, that is more technical competitions. And whenever I judge these technical competitions, right, I ask them one specific question. I ask the students one main question every time, that what is the business need for this particular solution that you have built? Somebody has built a mobile application, somebody has built an AI solution, somebody has built a portal for that matter, right? What should you, how should you really package a specific solution like that? Or rather, why should you even build a solution like that? Forget the packaging piece. Why should you even build a solution like that? And I many a times don't get an answer, primarily because when you're in engineering, right, your prime focus is to understand to gain the technical knowledge, right? Especially, or for that matter, in any graduation level course or any engineering kind of a course, right? Whenever you're studying over there, your prime focus is to understand the technical aspect of it. You're not really taught that, how many times you're not really taught how should you really package this and kind of take it to market. There are very few who do that. So I rarely get that kind of an answer from anybody. So that is also a challenge when you look at the overall uh, system, right? Obviously they are right in their own way, because even when an organization comes to the college, right, they are looking at, if you know Java, if you know any specific technology, they are also looking at it from that aspect, right? So they are also right in their own way. But in general, I feel that whenever you are trying to build a solution, you should be aware, why are you building that solution? Whom are you building it for? Why, what, how? All those aspects should be answered. That is where this point, when I talked about, right, the point which I mentioned over here, in terms of the technology, how should you move from this technology to this business side? Because you need to know, how long will it take for you to build this solution? Why should you build a solution? For whom are you building this solution, right? How will you sell it? To whom will you sell it? All those aspects have to be figured out. Even if you work in an IT company, right, they all ask you those questions. You might only be working at the lowest level, or whatever level that might be. You might only be looking at it from your perspective. Okay, I am able to improve my skills in XYZ technology, but what next, right? What next? That is the question that should come to you when you're looking at all of these aspects. Okay, 1 second, let me go back. So does that make sense in terms of what I was
Sir.
trying to explain? All right, thank you. So quite a lot of my experience in terms of, when I look at it, right, is primarily around one aspect in terms of your I'm not sure if you've read this book. I normally love talking about this book. So I talked about 2 points, right? I talked about 2007, or rather I talked about 2002, I talked about 2007, and I talked about 2008. Now in the year 2014, if I'm not mistaken, right? End of 2014, December 2014, I was part of a training session, which was specifically around how to make effective presentations, right? It was called as Presentation Maho. And the foreword of the book, which is written, right, has been written by Mr. Jagannath Chitam. He is the founder of his organization, Vimsara. Okay. So probably, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, right? What he does is he provides training to corporates in terms of how do you make effective presentation. So if I just looking at this presentation, right, just looking at this slide, can you make sense out of this? What does this slide talk about? Do you know what this statement indicates?
So how strong the product is,
Yes.
how
How
different
strong?
it is from other products. So it is very strongest adhesive, they are saying.
Yes, but just look at this. Who's this?
Superman.
Yeah, and Superman is supposed to
As strongest adhesive as Superman.
it's stronger than Superman because Superman is also stuck over here. So that is what the image is telling, right? That image should be able to give you, or rather should tell you, how do you really communicate your message. So that is one important aspect, a very important aspect as a technology person, right? Because as a technology person, you will end up telling that, okay, I wrote a program which does a calculator, right? You will say if you give 1 plus 1, it will give you 2. But the word for that is calculator, right? It has so many, they've created a word for that. There's a word for multiplication, addition, subtraction, all of that together is called as a calculator. Then there's an advanced calculator, scientific calculator, right? So in that same sense, right, as a technology person, you should be able to kind of showcase or put your thoughts into something very simple and straightforward. So if you read this book, it'll also give you an idea in terms of why do some ideas survive, why do some ideas die. And this book is primarily based on 5 principles in terms of simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, and stories. So when you say, right, when you talk about this, obviously I'll not get into details of this. When you say simple, you should talk about one idea versus 10. You cannot have 10 goals in your life. You should have one goal, you complete that, then you take the next one. That is what you should have when you're talking about one specific statement, right? You should talk about one specific idea, not about 10. You're talking about something unexpected that should be able to grab attention, but you need to create curiosity. It should not be that suddenly you showcase something, you do something unexpected, but you're not able to maintain that curiosity. So that is where what is important. You need to be concrete in terms of your visuals when you're showing something, right? It should be something you can touch and feel, especially in software, right? If you just don't going to talk about a presentation, it makes sense to showcase something, right? Whatever you build, you showcase a prototype or something. That is what makes more sense when you're trying to sell it. Credible. The best example of credibility is somebody, if you look at the advertisements of toothpaste, right? You know who is there in the advertisement? Who comes in the advertisement of a toothpaste other than Madhuri Dixit or any actress? But who else is there in that advertisement?
Doctors.
Yes. Why? Why do you think so?
So uh, they make our customers more real. Like they make the customers feel that it is something which is beneficial for them to help them.
Yes. So the customers, right? The doctor adds credibility because if a doctor is recommending it, you will buy it.
Yeah.
That is where credibility comes in. So which is where in terms of your software also, right? If you say that XYZ customer is using my software, it adds credibility in terms of what you're trying to sell. Emotional is something, obviously, yes, it might not be possible, but you need to have that emotional connect in some way or the other. When in simple example would be when somebody is asking for charity, right? nowadays you don't find that you provide charity for 100,000 people, that they tell, right, you feed one girl child, or you feed one particular student, or rather you provide the expenses for the teaching of one particular student. That is what is an emotional connect, rather than going after the entire world. And then stories is more about in terms of how do you put your examples and case studies, right? So I'm not talking about this case study, but yes, in terms of your stories, you should talk about your experience. Where have you done something similar? That is what is important. So that is where your message should be around all these 6 principles: simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, and stories. So let me ask you this: what does this image depict?
Uh,
DNA strand.
Okay,
DNA.
very good. So why do you think I'm showing a DNA strand over here? So a DNA indicates kind of a brand image, right? Then if I ask you a question, right, what do you like best about your organization? What do you don't like about your organization? Almost everybody will talk about salary, but yes, other than that, something or the other would be there, right? So, and you will talk about the positives and negatives. Underlying that kind of creates the brand image. Okay, it's a rhetorical question, by the way. If I ask you that, what do you like best about your organization, it kind of uh, also talks about you as a person, because some part of that is also going to be you. And I'm not sure if you got that, but it's more a rhetorical question, by the way. What I want to talk about over here is any product, for that matter, right, has to have a brand image. So if I tell you something about Dove, right, what does what kind of an image comes to your mind? Is it a male image or a female image when you talk about Dove as a soap? Any thoughts? If you say Dove or Pears or any other soap for that matter, right, the image is going to be male dominated image or female dominated image?
so
Sorry.
so it depends. Like for Dow, I feel that it will be more related to females and
Yes.
their beauty
And
care.
if I show you an image of Harley Davidson, what will come to your mind?
Male.
Yes. So like that, right, a brand or a product can also have that kind of an image. That is what matters in terms of, and if you look at any IT organization, right, they make a lot of presentations. They have that brand image. They have those brand colors also defined. They'll tell you that you should not be using a green color in my slide. You should be using only blue or white or red. They have those fixed colors which are defined in their presentations, that these are the only colors we want to use, because that is their brand. Even on their buses, right, you'll see a lot of buses of Patni, or I mean earlier they were, now I'm not sure they are there, but all of these companies do their branding because they want people to know about them, right? So there is a brand which is there, but underlying this also indicates, right, what is this is you should know your target market in terms of whom are you pitching to, right? Whom are you actually talking to? What should you sell your business to? So let me ask you this: what does this indicate?
Social media apps.
Yes, how many of you use this? Which one do you use? Facebook, Instagram,
Facebook,
WhatsApp,
Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn,
LinkedIn?
Messenger,
You, very good. Anybody else?
Pinterest.
I mean, you use almost all of them except Twitter and Google Plus or Tumblr. Okay, I also don't use Tumblr, so yeah. So tomorrow, if you don't use this, can you actually stop using this?
Right now, it is not possible because of the pandemic. all are on the social media sites.
In general, let's say if you want to stop using this, can you stop using this?
Not all of them,
Why do you think that is there?
because how it brings the world closer. Like
Yeah,
you
it
can
connects to
connect to
everyone.
everyone through WhatsApp.
But was this there before?
No, it wasn't.
So how did you get hooked onto it?
Because the changing scenarios, the changing business modules and models and all, you need this apps to be there to be connected with the organization or anywhere with people or around you to do your things much more faster and yeah, that's what.
All right.
So if you don't have these apps and all, then you will not be there in this world itself. It's like
So let me ask you this question. So let's say there is a new app which comes in,
there's no identity as such if you have
right?
no apps right now.
Yeah, no, but let's say you have a new app which comes in, you create a new app, right? Then what would you do? Will it be easy to enter that market?
Not at the beginning itself, but it will take some time. It will be see that the thing will be unique. They will be looking for something unique, which is not there in those apps.
Okay, so I'll come back to this question. You know what this is?
Conflicts,
Conflicts.
Yeah, do you eat conflicts?
Yes,
yeah, so
Yeah, regularly,
not regularly.
occasionally.
occasionally. Okay, so so this is Kellogg's conflict. This is a story of Kellogg's conflicts, right? When they started off way back in 2000 or some, I don't remember the year in India. I think I had written that in the book. But when they started off, right? And if you compare Kellogg's to the Indian breakfast, what would you prefer? You have one side all the Indian breakfast. You have chole bhature, you have dosa, paratha, right? You have all the Indian delicacies which are there, and on the right side you have Kellogg's cornflakes. So what would you prefer?
Indian breakfast.
Okay. Anybody else has any other preference?
Depends on how heavy or how light you want to eat your breakfast.
Okay, spoken like a true woman. So health conscious, very good. So here, right, when Kellogg started off, right, they were not able to penetrate the market. They were facing a lot of challenges. So what do you think they did? Or rather, if you were in that position, what would you do?
You have to market this to all the segments of the society, so that
Okay.
they will come. They will know about the beneficial things or something good for adults or senior citizens.
So I'll ask you this question again. Why do you prefer the Indian breakfast versus this? Why would you prefer the Indian breakfast versus this? If
Because
from your childhood, if you were given Kellogg's cornflakes, would you prefer Kellogg's versus the Indian breakfast? What would you prefer? Just
so
think about it, right? You, from your childhood, you have been eating Kellogg's cornflakes, and occasionally you've been eating the Indian breakfast. So now, if you have the option, what would you do?
still you will find you will try to have this meal as well to try the taste or to understand what is it
Yeah, which is
of the
fine,
Indian
but
breakfast.
you would probably prefer, in that case, right? You would probably prefer Kellogg's. You will try the Indian breakfast, but you still
Yeah.
prefer Kellogg's, right? So
Yes.
that is what the point is, that you are actually habituated to eating the Indian
Breakfast.
breakfast. In that same way, over here, you have now become habituated to use social media. It's become a habit. Even in 12 in the night or 2 in the morning, the first thing you do is look at your mobile, right? Even
Yes.
before brushing your teeth, you're going to use your mobile to check if you got a message, right? That is what has happened. You have become habituated to that. So what Kellogg's did over here, they wanted to change the habit. They focused on changing the habit of the generation. So what they did, they specifically targeted schools, and obviously they did not target all the schools. From what I know, they specifically targeted they didn't target all the I think they didn't target all general schools for that matter. They targeted specific schools, and they were giving Kellogg's free as part of the breakfast to the kids. So what they were trying to focus was on trying to change the habit of kids, that you should now use, or rather they should probably, if they like that, right, if kids start liking that, then they have kind of been successful in changing their what do you say, the standard, in terms of they are able to target a specific group in the future. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So when what do you think this is?
And
Pen, ink
Pen.
pen.
Okay, pen. This is called as Next Pen. Okay, it is called as Next Pen. It is of Next. It is of an EMR company called as Next Gen. So you know the challenge of a doctor, right? If you want to, from a doctor as compared to any other organization, the doctor spends a lot of time writing the symptoms of the patient. Now, if you want to kind of what do you say, if you want the doctor to use an EMR system, it's very difficult for him to get habituated to using an EMR system, because he's very much used to this. He's very much used to writing on a pen. So like this Next Gen company is in US. There's a company in India called as Doxper, where they also have a similar concept. What they do is they have a printed paper, and they focused on not changing this habit of the physician. They did not say that okay, you use an EMR system. They said that use your pen, but you can use a pen, but use our pen. What is the benefit of that is you can write on the paper, and whatever they write, right, it gets stored on the cloud. The paper is printed on a specific format, on a dot matrix kind of a printer, and the pen knows at which location is that writing happening. Based on that, that information gets stored on the cloud. Make sense? What they focused was on not changing the habit. So here we talked about the example wherein you are trying to change the habit. In this case, the habit is already changed of people, of the entire world, because everybody wants to be connected to each other. You cannot live without social network even for a day. There are a lot of people who don't are still not there on Facebook and all the other networks. But that is the way. Some, in terms of marketing technology, right, here the point is you are not changing the habit. Make sense? In terms of the selling point, you're not changing the habit. That is the business point which I'm trying to make. What the idea?
So is it you are going to write this on the screen or something with this
No,
pen?
no, it is on paper only. It's just that the paper is special.
Okay.
There's just a printing cost. In case of Next Pen, you can write it on anything, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Even sales guys use something similar, right? Even sales, as a salesperson, there is something similar. I had seen one of my sales counterpart salespersons in my first organization. What he had, right? He used to have a pen, and he had a wire connecting to the book he was writing to, and that wire was connected to the laptop via a, USB port. Okay, so whatever he was writing on that paper was getting stored in Word in some way. So
Through
there are,
via book.
yes, he was writing on a book, and on top of the page, right, on top of the book, he
Okay.
had a clip attached to it, and that clip was attached to the laptop via USB port.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're able to imagine it, but yes. So that paper was unique. So obviously, again, over here, right, you're trying to market a solution in a different way, right? You're not saying that my paper can, whatever, my pen can write 10 words per minute or something like that, right? It's more, you're just focusing on that I am not making you change your habit over here, especially in this case from a
So
doctor's
this
perspective.
pen is going to be get connected to the cloud, right?
Yes,
The
this
information.
pen gets connected to the cloud, and that cloud is automatically storing that data in the EMR system.
Okay.
So you're not focused on making the doctor change their own habit. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Any questions till now? Okay. So this is what I was talking about. You have habits. You are targeting a specific demographic. So in Kellogg's case, they were targeting a specific demographic of kids. In terms of next pen, they were targeting specific demographics of physicians and doctors. And underlying there is obviously a technology which is supporting this, because without that, right, this is not going to work. So this is called a habit triangle in terms of the marketing world. Okay. You know what is this?
Ferrari car.
Very good. Where have you seen a Ferrari?
Mostly in the
Bandra.
no, not Bandra, but huge showrooms. That
Okay.
is where I have seen it.
Where is
In ads.
racing? Racing? Anybody? Formula One?
Yeah.
Yes, Formula One, right? So there, how many of you follow Formula One? Anybody follows? Or do you know who was the Indian who was there in the Formula One racing?
Karthikeyan or something.
Yes,
Na-
Narayan Karthik was there.
Narayan.
Karan Chandok, and those were the two. Did India have a team in Formula One? Very recently, it got dissolved in a sense because of all the challenges, right? But there was a Force India team, and that is where, when you look at sports, right, what is the most important or most habituated sport in India?
Cricket.
Cricket. But when Narayan Karthike and Karan Chandok entered Formula One, right, there was a change in the mindset of people. You saw kids getting into go-karting, or for that matter, when you, even if you look at tennis, right, when you saw Leander Paes, Mahesh Bhupathi winning Wimbledon in 1999, there were a lot of people who wanted to see more tennis happening in India, right? So that is where is the shift which happens because of somebody coming in and showing you that way. There is a change in that habit that, okay, I also want to look at other than cricket, I am also interested in any other sport. That is what is called as a reflection of, when I'm trying to really think about where else I can look at a habit, right? So I was
Yes.
able to think of Formula One. Then you can have tennis. You can even have kabaddi, which is there been there for so long. In the last 5 years, you'll see, you might have seen that we actually know the names of all the kabaddi players now, who have won us so many World Cups. And by the way, India has never lost a World Cup in kabaddi. So, but they have not got that recognition because it is overpowered by the habit which people have in terms of cricket. Okay? So, makes sense in terms of, you can look at real life examples related to a lot of things like this. You know what this is?
Dartboard.
You know when it was invented?
No.
It's written over here. See, invented around 1300s. So it was actually invented as a favorite pastime for military people. You know, military people who are in military. What they had wine caskets. Okay, they had these big wine caskets, and at that point of time, people used to use spears for fighting. So what they used to do, they used to practice using those wine caskets and the spear, and they used to try and hit the top of the wine casket. So that is where initially the dartboard was invented. So have you ever used a dartboard? Ever used a
Yes.
dartboard? Yes. So what do you target? You see these numbers, right? 13, 6, 10. What do you get based on that? You get some points.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And where do you get the maximum points?
The
In the
center.
center.
Center, right? So imagine whenever you're trying to build a solution, right? So the first thing I asked you in the beginning was, or other first thing I told you in the beginning, whenever you're building a solution, right, you should be looking at whom are you trying to pitch this to, right? Whom have you built this to? Who is going to be the end user? Why have you built this? Is there a business need? All of those matter. Once you have decided that, now you have decided that I want to sell this to XYZ people. So here, this solution which we are talking about, we want to sell this to physicians. You want to sell this to doctors. So when I'm looking at this, right, what happens is this dartboard can be looked at as different groups of people. Make sense? Each of this is a segment. Each of this is a different segment in that matter. I want to hit this segment. So this segmentation can be done based on the age, the demographics, gender, all that kind of stuff, right? So this entire thing, you have all the segments. You want the dart to hit this black segment of 13, yeah, just over here. That is called as targeting. And finally, when you hit your dart, right, wherever it hits, it might not hit over here. This might be a group of people which is between 25 to 35, but your dart goes and hits over here next to 10. And this might be a group of people more than 35 to 45. So that is called as positioning. You do not know when your dart is going to hit, right? Wherever it goes and hit, that is your positioning. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. You have in your mind that I want to sell this to XYZ people, but ultimately you find that it is actually more people in the age of 35 to 45 is buying your product rather than 25 to 35. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Okay. So I'll tell you my fun story. You know what this is?
A favorite dice.
Favorite dice. This is a 3x3 cube, Rubik's cube.
Sorry. Yeah, Rubik's Cube.
You know who
Sorry.
created that?
Erno Rubik.
Yes, this person over here, Erno Rubik, he created that. It's called as a 3x3 magic cube. So obviously I saw this and I wanted to just try this. I was curious about that, so I took that as a favorite pastime just to use that. It took me around 9 months to kind of solve it. Okay, Erno Rubik took 1 month to solve it. It took me 9 months. I'm not comparing, but yeah. So when I'm looking at this, right, this cube is probably still one of the best gifts people give to anybody, to kids, right? Erno Rubik was a mechanical professor and he wanted to show the use of these 3D turns. Okay, he wanted to show the use of 3D turns. He did not create a 3x3, he created kind of a 2x2 using clips and papers. When he first built it, he wanted to show those 3D turns. And ultimately, he took the help of Ideal Toy. He got a patent for this. He took the help of a company called as Ideal Toys, and he was able to kind of sell it to a large group of people. And now you know that whenever you search for it, right, there are still a lot of people who search for 3x3 cubes. If you go on Google and find the trend, that you'll get that information. So this was where I wanted to buy this cube. I bought that cube. One time I saw online, right, I saw a couple of more cubes, which is called as, this is a 4x4x4 cube. This is a 5x5x5 cube. Okay, the 4x4x4 cube was created by Peter Sebensti, and this was created by Udo Kerel. Initially, Sebensti thought that he'll call it the Sebensti cube, but if he would call it that, right, he would not have been able to uh, uh, use the name what Rubik had created. So ultimately, it was still called as a Rubik cube only. I think there is an additional name for that in front of that. But when I saw these two, right, I wanted these two cubes. Okay, and I saw this online. And at that point of time, around in 2007, right, 2007-8, this cube did not exist in India. I did not find any place in India where I could buy this. And literally, I felt the pain that no, I want this particular cube. I want this. So when that happens, right, literally in terms of marketing, you are enlisted as a customer for these Rubik's cubes. So I told my friend, his sister was in US, and he asked her to get those cubes from US for me. And that is when I bought these 4x4 and 5x5 cubes. It took him around 3 months because obviously you'll have to wait for the sister to come to India. But he still was able to buy those cubes for me. I still have them. And ultimately, right, I have this collection of Rubik's cubes. I have almost 50 different types of cubes. I've tried, I mean, there are 20 plus cubes, but over here in the 20 plus different types of cubes. But overall, there are 50 cubes over here. There's a snake cube, there's a number cube, there's a lot of, this is a mirror cube. There's so many different cubes. This is a 9 by 9, by the way. So what happens is, when this happened, right, this image kind of grabbed my attention. That's what I mentioned earlier. And because of that pain, right, I had a lot of interest. That interest got converted into desire. And ultimately, when I told my friend to buy these two cubes for me, right, that got converted into action. And whenever, anytime I wanted to buy something, right, anytime I wanted to buy a new cube, right, I was kind of enslaved to buy all these cubes. Like I said, I have 50 plus different cubes, right? That is how the process of marketing kind of works, that you have to know whom to target and what will grab the attention of your customer. That image which I saw kind of grabbed my attention, that okay, no, I want this, and I felt that pain. In that same way, when you're trying to sell any kind of software solution or any kind of idea for that matter, right, the end user, whomever you're trying to sell that to, should feel that pain. There should be something in terms of, everybody tells you, right, what's in it for me, what's in it for you. There's that main question. So that interest has to be generated. Only then will somebody buy your solution. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hopefully you're able to relate it to anything
Yes.
that you buy, right? Because in that same way, right, just showing a CD is not going to make you buy. Like I said, right, will you buy the chocolate or will you buy the CD? Just looking at the chocolate makes you grab the attention, right? But you cannot do that so simply with software. So overall, like I said, right, the Rubik's Cube is still prevalent in the market. It was thought through in 1974, by the way. It grew in sales in around 1980s and 81s. And if you look at the trend, it is still there. So it is in the maturity state. This is a product life cycle. Every product has a phase wherein you buy a new product. So if you look at the mobile, if you look at electronic items, right, their product cycle is very small. You'll see a new product coming in 2 months or 3 months, right? You don't get they don't manufacture those, or they reduce the manufacturing of the new products, or rather old products. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you have, every product will have this. Even your software product will have that. Even if you look at Microsoft Windows, right? You're not using Windows 98 now. Everybody's using Windows 10 or whatever the higher version is there, right? So I will come back to this because this is a little complicated, but I will come back to this. So I talked about curiosity. How many of you use a portal in your organization, or any portal for that matter? Let's say let me ask you this question. Let's say you have built a knowledge portal and you want to showcase that to, or you want to market that. What would you do?
Introduce to the social media that we have set up so and so portal. If you are wishing to,
So it's an internal portal. You will not be able to use social media. It's an internal portal for your organization.
Talk about the features that are there in the portal and how it will make the process simpler for the employees of the
Okay.
organization.
Okay. How does that generate curiosity?
the work will be lesser as compared to earlier. So
No, so let me ask you this, right? You see, uh, when, especially nowadays, right, you see that somebody is going to speak on COVID at 10 p.m. Or I'm not going to take the names. At 10 a.m. in the morning, somebody's going to come and speak, right? You notice that generates curiosity in everybody. Okay, what is going to happen? What did that person tell now? Make sense?
yes, sir.
You are
Yes.
generating curiosity. So here you're telling that you'll straight away go and tell about the features. So when I was doing my MBA, right, and then when I was studying this course in MBA, specifically the subject of integrated marketing, we had built an internal portal in my company for my team. Okay, I had a team of like 12 people, and we had built a knowledge portal. So what we did was we sent 3 emailers. Okay, first that we are coming. Okay, and that is kind of generating curiosity. The headline only that we are coming. The next email we talked about what will some of the features that you say, right? We talked about those. And third, what we did was we just told them we are here, you know, that at this link. But normally in general, when you look at your organization or anybody who's trying to share information related to a launch of a new portal, right, you will just get an email that the password has been sent to you, log into this portal and fill your data. Literally is what the email you get, right? There is no curiosity which has been generated that around that. There is nothing like that which is done. It is just plain an email a broadcast email which you get. Even especially in terms of HR, right? You will see a lot of emails coming from this. Watch out for this space. You get such emails.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is something which is generating curiosity. So a simple emailer can be used to generate curiosity in the minds of your team members. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What is this? Do you know what this image talks about?
Gift.
No.
Sharing.
Okay. Sharing. No. Let me do this one thing.
Offer. Yeah.
Let me do this. 1 second. Okay, color is not coming. This is an indication of a barter system. Okay. So the
Give
color
and
is
take.
yes,
How
give
this
and
could
take,
be
barter
possible?
system. When do you think that was prevalent?
Uh, the last century.
Okay, apple with bananas. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's an apple with bananas.
Crazy man.
When do you think that was prevalent?
It's the last century.
Before
Not
Or
much before that also.
yeah.
Long back. So at that point of time, what do you think the population in the world was? Pretty less.
Yes.
So if somebody built something, right? If somebody built something, did you have to market it? Did you have to advertise? Did you have to do anything? It was primarily word of mouth, right? You just told somebody, then it spread like wildfire because
Yes.
everybody knew. That is how things probably worked earlier. But the world has kind of grown now, right? And when it has grown, what is happening is we have so many different things in the world now. There is a radio, there was television, and obviously before that came the newspaper. Then there is books. There are so many things which are there, magazines, right? Even in your airplane, you have specific magazines for that particular flight. And now you have social media. You have so many different mediums which are there in which you can promote your idea, your solution, which is where what is important is if you have your right solution, you need to make people aware of that, which is why you will find these big organizations talking about their solutions and ideas. You'll see in the current times, a lot of people have built solutions in IT around healthcare, and you'll find that their articles and their interviews are coming in Economics Times and other papers, right? That is what they are doing in terms of creating awareness about their solution. So it is important once you have built a solution, right, and you are confident about it, you should be publicizing the same. And there are a lot of mediums to do that, from your newspaper till your from your print media to radio to television, right? And obviously now if you look at Netflix and so many other places where you can advertise. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
And obviously there are a lot of billboards, right? Here you talk about primarily how you can advertise. This entire example is talking about, this is talking about Samsung, this is talking about Coca-Cola, this is talking about TDK, Hyundai. So many different things are there on this particular billboard itself. So ultimately what you're selling in the end, right, is a USP. Can you tell me what is your definition of a USP? Any thoughts? What is a USP? So what is
So
what in yeah, go ahead.
something unique than other products, like what is not there in some other product which is there in your product.
So what is the motto of Fevicol? I'll ask you that question. What is the motto of Fevicol? That slogan which is there in every advertisement.
that shows that it is a unique product which is very
Yeah, but what is that?
different
What
from
is
other.
that statement? What is that statement they make?
Strongest adhesive.
Yes, strongest adhesive, or they say right, Fevicol ka jode टूटेगा नहीं.
Yeah.
Yes, so in my understanding, this is one of the principles of success. One sentence or statement so profound that an individual could spend a lifetime learning to follow it. So that is that motto of, and obviously all of that comes based on this unique selling point has all of this information in it: the market, the audience, the sale, what is the strategy, the competition. But that one statement, right, makes it the unique selling point. It gives you everything which is there in this, so you need that one statement also. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
You know this? What is this? Have you seen this ad anytime? These are called cola wars, by the way. This is a cola war. You know, these are cola, right? Pepsi and cola are colas. Can you understand what this image on the left talks about? You know Halloween? What is Halloween? It's a festival in US
Yes.
wherein people dress up as what do you say?
Pumpkins.
Yes, pumpkins, and they dress up as scary characters, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at Pepsi's ad. What it's saying, they have, when you open Coke, right? It's got a cover, and what they do is they have, this is the original ad of Pepsi. That when you open, you will underline find Pepsi. Coca-Cola on the cover, but underlying there is Pepsi. So this is a scary Halloween. And in response to that, Coca-Cola came up with their own ad. Everybody wants to be a hero, wherein and there are a lot of ads which you'll find like this, which are there available online, right? Which kind of talks to you about the competition. So whenever you have, right, you will not be the only product which is there in the market. If you are building something, yours will not be the only product which is there in the market. There will always be some competition for you. So what is important is you need to fight your competition. You need to do better than your competition. Make sense?
Yes.
You know this? Have you heard of this? Anybody who's in healthcare would have heard of this. If you're not from healthcare, anybody who doesn't know what is this? So I'll tell you, this is like an exhibition. In schools and colleges, you have those exhibitions and competitions, right? HIMSS is one of the biggest health IT exhibitions, wherein a lot of organizations come and talk about their solutions. In that same way, and they have those booths, they have all an area itself. If you look at nowadays, if you've been in Mumbai, everywhere you have these exhibitions, right, of electronic items, electronic goods. I mean, not for the past 2.5 months, but yes, before that there were a lot of exhibitions which were happening. So in terms of HIMSS, you have an exhibition specifically for health IT, all right? And that is another medium wherein people can publicize their solutions and ideas and gain more customers for their specific solutions, right? You have built solutions for a specific customer, you will find those customers in these exhibitions, right? You can have all different things. You can have discounts. You call the customers whom you want to talk to over there. So that is what HIMSS does. Okay, that is what HIMSS provides, that platform. Like this, there are other exhibitions and platforms for IT. Got an idea?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, like I said in the beginning, right, what is important is the business need, because without that, right, in the beginning I said people will build, you build a solution, but ultimately what is important is you need to tie that to the business need. Without that, nothing is going to work. So, if I look at the current scenario, what does this indicate? What do you think this talks about?
I think it is an online consultation for a doctor.
Yes. So, do you see a need currently?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, let me ask you this question. When do you think, so this is called telehealth, telemedicine. When do you think telemedicine as a concept was created? Or when was it conceptualized, by the way? 10 years back, 15 years back? When do you think that was conceptualized?
10 years back.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think it's 20 years back.
Okay. Anybody else? So, telemedicine was conceptualized in 1920. It was called as pterodactyl. Okay. It literally meant uh, feeling at a distance or touching at a distance. Okay. If you look that up, you look up the word pterodactyl. It was conceptualized in 1920. And people have been working on telemedicine for long. But if you look at the current scenario, right, the business need has just skyrocketed because nobody is able to move out, right? Nobody wants to move out also. Because of which there was a need probably, especially in rural areas and where the doctors, a lot of doctors cannot reach. Telemedicine or telehealth was uh, promoted. But now, right, in the current scenario, telemedicine has kind of skyrocketed, and it might probably be there for longer. In terms of it might be here to stay also, right? You don't need to go to the doctor because you're going to save on your travel costs, you're going to save on your time, you're going to save on a lot of things, right? If people get habituated to that, they might not want to go to the doctor to see them. They might just continue with this telemedicine, right? Make sense?
So how will they diagnose through
You will
telemedicine?
have to, obviously, it might be that everybody has some of their basic devices, right? Everybody has a basic device with them. That will also have to happen for them to have, for that to work. Otherwise, it will just be a teleconsultation. Normally, in terms of telemedicine, which is there, right? So there is a company called as HealthCon, wherein they have their own device. They have a device which can test 7 different things. They can do a ECG. They can do a what do you say,
Blood pressure,
blood pressure. They can also take your record the heart
glucose.
rate and glucose and all that is also there. SpO2 is also there. They can even record your the sound of the lungs, whether your lungs are functioning properly or not, as good as that for the basic things, right? It might happen that everybody has that in the future, as like you have a laptop or a phone, right? Even if uh, you might have all of that in your device itself in the future, right? That's something which you can, I'm not sure if that will happen, but yes, for telemedicine to work, you will also need people to start having those devices. And in the current scenario, people might be having those because they want to monitor all the stuff. Nobody is going outside. There's every chance that everybody's vitamin D is going down. So you need that also to happen. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so let me talk about this. Have you heard of this?
Yes, sir.
Do you see a need for AI in the current market, in specifically around healthcare though?
Yeah.
And do you know when artificial intelligence came in?
10
95.
years back.
No, it was 1940s. Before that, also, you've heard you've seen the movie of this Alan Turner. What is that? I forget the name. It's on World War I, wherein he tries to
The
break the code.
imitation game.
Yes, thank you very much. The Imitation Game. Yes, it was there on Netflix recently also, and there he tries to break the codes of Enigma. A German war machine, whatever they use it for that. He was trying to break those codes using AI. In that same way, right, when you look at healthcare, i I personally, I feel that it might, again, like telemedicine is there, people might definitely look at leveraging AI, ML, data science in these areas, because you cannot wait for so long, right? Normally it takes around 10 years for drug discovery. You cannot wait that long. So there might be a lot of work which might go in that space also. And recently also, yesterday or today, even India has launched their own AI portal along with NASCOM. They have launched their own AI portal along with NASCOM. If you see today's, I think there was a post on LinkedIn also by NASCOM. Got it? And ultimately what matters is, and let's go back to one aspect. Just let me just check the time. Let me just quickly talk about one aspect which I told you I'll come back to, right? So in any scenario, right, let's just look at this. So you are working on a particular project, right? You are doing maintenance and support for a particular customer, this bank, right? This vendor is doing maintenance and support. It's as good as saying, right, you can, if you are going to expand the number of team in this area, right, you additionally want to provide Java support, that is called market development. So this is in HR, you want to increase the market for the Java developer, right? You want to increase the revenue for the existing project. That additionally, you will also start supporting more people in HR payroll. So that is where you are increasing the revenue of this system through this system. But if you are going to take on support for an additional product, that becomes market development. If you are looking at diversifying, that you will start providing, or rather you want to provide these services which are related to something else, right? This is related to this only HR payroll, but you want to provide services to the BPO, the call center side of it. So that is called as a new product development. And finally, if you want to do completely something different, that is called as diversification. So in IT, right, you will also find this. You find this in any industry. You can look up examples of Coke also. Coke had a lot of different. Coke had a strawberry flavor. So all of that will fit into this quadrant. I just wanted to quickly talk about this. This is a little complicated when you look at it the first time, but yes, that is how IT company looks at that. Okay, I want to increase my revenue via one particular, in this space only, in HR payroll, that is called as market development. If I want, that is, or rather, if I want to increase in HR payroll, it's called as market penetration. If I want to increase it in another area in that same technology, it's called as market development. I want to start providing BPO and KPO services, it becomes product development. And then I do something completely different. Now I provide advertising services, which is nothing related to this. It becomes diversification. The best example for diversification could be that when Coke is selling something, right? Coke is selling soft drinks. Suddenly they start selling T-shirts with the Coke logo. That is an example of, if I'm not mistaken, that's a good example of diversification. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
coming back to this. So finally, what matters is, what does this symbolize? Any thoughts? What does this symbolize?
Strategy.
Yes, the game plan, right? Any game, any story, any sports has a game plan, right? Even in chess, the first move is telling you what strategy you want to use. In that same way over here, in IT also, right? You have to start from the business need. You need to know what are you building, why are you building it, whom are you building it for, what is going to be the cost in terms of how long will you take to build it, as well as the cost based on which you should have that one statement which you can tell the customer. You cannot tell the customer that I have built an OPAM application simulator using Java. If I tell the customer that I have built this simulator which can save 50% of your effort, that is much more sellable than just talking about the features. In the same way, in artificial intelligence or in machine learning, right? If I tell the customer that I can help you identify 50% of your fraudulent claims, it is more sellable because I am talking about a specific number. I am tying that solution to a number. Make sense?
Yes.
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 So hopefully you got a quick understanding of what technology to business is. It's a very small book. It's Actually, quite a lot of people who have read it, right? It took them around 2 to 3 hours just to read it. Hopefully, you can also, so you can get a copy. It's for 99 today, end of day, and you can also look at it. Where is it? Yes, so this is where you can get it. You don't need a Kindle per se. You just need the Kindle app. The hardcover is also available, but that's available only in US. It's not shipping in India at this point in time. So, any questions, guys? कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? Were you able to understand what I was trying to explain, or whether, I mean, rather, were you able to tie it to what you are working in? I'm not sure what all areas everyone is working in. I do see a lot of similar faces. I know almost
Yes,
all of you.
Harish. It was useful.
All right. Any questions? Any suggestions?
No, Arish, it was a great presentation. Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, Mr. Yella.
After a long time, man, I've seen you.
Very good. Very nice. Where are you? In
Yeah,
India?
Bombay only. Yeah, Bombay.
Cool. Ghatkopar?
No, Chembur. I'm at your place only.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Catch up after some time.
All right. Sure. Sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Do grab a copy of your book, of the book, my book, sorry. And if you like it, do share with others. Thank you. Thank you for your time again.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Harish.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Bye bye. Thank you.